It's Martin here, and in this video I want to share with you my personal story with type 1 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disease where your pancreas does not produce any insulin. So it's very different than your average diabetes. Type 2 diabetes and type 1 diabetes are completely different, and this is my story of how I was diagnosed out of the blue, out of nowhere. So kind of to take it back a little bit, I was diagnosed at 22 years old, December 2017. It was a very interesting time because the holidays were right around the corner, and I started experiencing some very weird symptoms. Symptoms like excessive thirst. I was going to the bathroom a lot, going to pee a lot, and I was losing a lot of weight. At first, I thought I was losing weight because I was running like 5 miles every other day. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. I'm like losing all this weight. And then I started to realize, like, hold on, I'm losing a little too much weight. Okay, now I was the day I knew that I needed to go see a doctor, I was going on a road trip from New York to New Orleans, and it was like a 20-hour road trip, and I couldn't stop drinking water. It was this thirst that I couldn't quench, like no matter what I did. And I had to go to the bathroom every 30 minutes. So I'm in a car with 7 guys, and they're telling me, stop drinking water. Come on, bro, stop. We're not going to stop for you. And I'm like pissing in a bottle. I'm sorry, excuse me. I'm like peeing, trying to keep it very PG. I was peeing in a bottle, and I'm like, I can't stop drinking water. Like, it's not my fault. So after that road trip, and after that like little vacation I had, I decided to go to the doctor. Now I get to the doctor, and I'm all nervous. Now, keep in mind, I'm 22 years old at the time. I have no idea what type 1 diabetes is. I work in an AV company, a 9 to 5 pretty much. It was a tech company where we sold audio visual equipment to colleges, school, corporate buildings, etc. And I was working at that company for 5 years, and I started as an assistant and started climbing my way up. I was doing very well for myself. And everybody in that company loved me, and I loved them. I loved working in that, and I was very passionate about my job. But now, throughout this, while I'm working at this job, I'm literally like, I know something's wrong with my body. Like I'm getting like all these weird symptoms. So I'm at the doctor. When I'm at the doctor, he calls me in. I'm nervous. He tells me, okay, so what brings you in here? I said, listen, doc, these are my symptoms. I'm having excessive thirst. I'm peeing a lot. I'm losing all this weight. He goes like, interesting. He's like, so did you look all this stuff up on Google, like what it could be? And I was like, I did. I was like, well, I don't know why he asked me, but I was like, I did, obviously. Like, that's the first thing I did. And I saw something with diabetes, but I was like, there's no way I have diabetes. There's no way. I'm healthy. I'm skinny. And I had no idea. Me being ignorant, I had no idea what type 1 diabetes was. He's like, no, that's what I think it is. So he steps out of the room, gets a glucometer. Never seen one of these things before. And he pricks my finger. Okay, now, for some reason at the doctor's office, the finger, when they prick your finger, it's at the highest sense, like the highest level, and like blood gushing out. And I'm like, it hurt. And I'm like, what's going on? This is all new to me. So he puts my blood into the machine. The machine displays 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and displays the blood sugar level. And I see in his face, he looks a little bit concerned, and I'm like, what happened? Like, I'm like, what'd you see? And he's like, look, your normal fasted blood sugar level has to be from like around 70 to 100. You're fasted, right? You didn't eat anything. I was like, no, I didn't eat anything. He's like, yeah, your sugar level I think it was around 300. He's like, your sugar level is around, it's 300 this, right? And he's like, it seems to me like you have type 1 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disease that if you don't inject any more insulin, that you can have problems. And he started I'm like, wait, what? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, how did this happen? He's like, it seems like you got unlucky. So I was literally diagnosed with type 1 diabetes in like 20 minutes. He tells me, okay, you got to go get blood work done to confirm this. And I say, all right. So I'm in shock. Right, I leave the doctor. I have to go get all this blood work and all these appointments. And the first thing I do is I grab my phone and I call my mom in the middle of the parking lot. And I hear my mom answer the phone, and I tell her, Ma, me dijeron que tengo tipo 1 diabetes. And I just start crying. Like, my world just came crashing down. It was it was the worst thing that ever happened to me. Like literally the worst news I ever got in my life, right? So I'm a mess. I'm in the parking lot crying, and like fast forward a little bit, I got all the blood work done. They confirmed it. Then I had another appointment with the nurse practitioner. She showed me how to give myself insulin injections and shots and stuff like that. Now, they did not teach me anything about type 1 diabetes. They just literally said, here's insulin. Good luck. You have to go make an appointment with an endo. I made an appointment with an endo. It took a while to get there. I talked to diabetes educators, whatever. I went through the whole thing. They weren't very much helpful. Like, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. They gave me very basic information that I literally found all that on Google the first day. So I was very unhappy with how the medical healthcare system kind of went about this, and getting insulin, going through like trying to get the right insulin covered by insurance. It was a nightmare, literally a nightmare. So I went into a really bad depression. You can only imagine. I was diagnosed at 22 years old. I was like, how did my life go from being freaking perfect, being from phenomenal, being from like, I'm living this awesome life where I was living on my own. I had a very well-paying job. I was crushing it. And now my health, right? So I was scared of dying from lows and from in the future diabetic complications. I had so much fear, right? And I couldn't sleep. And that was causing me to become depressed, fatigued, tired, exhausted, not even wanting to live life anymore. I had all these negative thoughts, and I'm like, what's the point? Now, everybody around me was like, Martin, you're gonna get through this, you're gonna get through this. But I felt so alone. I had a lot of people hugging me, physically being there for me, but they didn't know how to help me. They didn't know what I actually needed, and I felt hopeless. I'm like, okay, what now? What's my life gonna be? Am I gonna be able to have a family? Am I gonna be able to have a future? What's the point of working? I don't know what's gonna happen to me in 5-10 years, and just all these horrible things. And at the time too, what added to all this is that my grandma with type 2 diabetes had a really bad cut in her leg, and her leg almost needed to get amputated. And I was going through all that while I was being diagnosed, so it was just mind-blowing for me. Now, again, I fell into this depression, and I didn't know how to get out of this, okay? I didn't know what I needed to do to get out. I would go to my doctors weren't helping me, and I just felt alone. And I realized that someone else had to be living with this disease. It couldn't just be me. So what I did is I went online and I started looking up forums. I went on Reddit diabetes forums, and I started looking at people posting questions, and I realized that there was a full community of other type 1 diabetics. So I started doing my own research. I'm like, I'm gonna figure this out. There's other people that have to have this disease, and they're living a better life. Someone has to figure this out. I can't be the only one. So I go through all these forums, and I start reading, and I start learning, and I start feeling like, wow, that person had this problem and he was able to fix it with that. Okay, this person had the problem with lows. Look how he fixed it. Look how he corrects. And then I got exposed to just other type 1 diabetics sharing their journey, sharing their experiences. And I was literally copy and pasting. Like, I was literally like seeing what they were doing. I was doing it on my own, getting results. Now, I reached a huge breakthrough when I came across Dr. Bernstein. He made a book called Diabetes Solutions. Now, Dr. Bernstein very quickly is an 87-year-old type 1 diabetic endocrinologist that's been living with this disease for 60 plus years, and he made a book saying, do this and you will live a long life with that type 1 diabetes. Guess what I did? I did exactly what that book said, and it gave me massive amounts of results. Now, that book is like a textbook, but it's filled with amazing information for type 1 diabetics. It's logical. It makes sense. The strategy in that book that Dr. Bernstein was talking about gave me back control over something that I wanted, and that was my hope. Because in that book he explains, and his whole method explains, that in order to avoid diabetic complications, you must emulate the same sugar levels as someone with a working pancreas. So there, I understood that's my mission. Now, my doctors never told me that. I was never informed that if I have the same sugar levels as someone with a working pancreas, I can avoid diabetic complications. I can avoid going blind. I can avoid all these problems. So that, in gave me hope. Okay, I have a game plan. I know where I want to get to with type 1 diabetes. I understand what I need to do. And I felt inspired. I came from an empowering place because I knew, okay, where at least there was hope, there was light at the end of the tunnel. I could enjoy myself. I can live a long life if I emulate the same sugar levels as someone with a working pancreas. Now, as you know, with type 1 diabetes, that's a little complicated, but that was my plan. My plan is like, I got to figure this out. Now, just to fast forward the story a little bit, I changed my diet. I started tracking my sugar levels so much. It became an obsession of me trying to figure this out, and it worked. I talked to over hundreds of diabetics, literally took everybody's information, Dr. Bernstein's book, and then I started reading more books on diabetes, and I learned how to really control my sugar levels, like really control my sugar levels, to the point that my A1Cs went from 11.7 at diagnosis to 5.1, and I've been able to maintain that for over 3 years now. Okay, so I was diagnosed at 22 years old. I was able to actually prolong my honeymoon phase after I figured this out, and use less insulin through eating. And now, unfortunately, my pancreas literally doesn't produce like close to none insulin, so I have to inject myself like constantly. I'm completely insulin independent. But I've been able to maintain these low sugar, normal sugar levels, normal healthy A1Cs, below 5.7 for over 3 years now. Okay, so what I started doing is I started posting my information. I started posting what I was doing on my Instagram, and people started messaging me. But now this is where I realized that there was a huge problem. When I started posting, I literally got messages. How you doing that? What are you doing? Thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you so much for kind of explaining everything the way you do. And it took me a while to figure it out on my own. And while I was trying to figure it out, I was posting, and it's the journey is not as easy as people think. You know, it takes accepting, it takes sacrificing, it takes changing certain habits, it takes changing your lifestyle. You have to change who you are as a person to thrive with this disease. And this disease literally transformed me. Having control over my sugar levels transformed me into a different person. I've been able to really live my normal life. I used to have a CGM. I used to be paranoid. I used to not be able to go to sleep without, and the CGM helped me. I used to have Dexcom. Now I don't have a CGM. I just use finger pricks, and I can feel my lows, and I used to feel scared about lows and not feel confident in the way to control them. Now I feel more confident. My relationships changed. I started improving again at work. Now, what's funny enough, what happened is, throughout this time, my life started getting a lot better. I started posting on my Instagram, and I decided I didn't have any more passion at working at my old company anymore. And I decided to, during COVID, embark this journey of becoming a type 1 diabetic health coach, where I literally help other type 1 diabetics improve A1Cs and master control over their sugar levels so they can feel more confident in the way they live with diabetes. And that's what I've been doing since COVID, and it's just been going amazing for me. And also I've been having amazing client results that have been crushing it with type 1 diabetes. And I get to work with awesome type 1 diabetics from all over the world. I worked with diabetics from England, from Germany. I live in the US right now, from Canada. I worked with type 1 diabetics that are, I only work with adults, but I just started working with someone that it's a teenager. It's a brand new experience for me, but I've been working with diabetics that have been living with type 1 diabetes for over 30 years, and it's all the same concept. You know, it all comes back to the same concepts of the way to live a better and improve the quality of your life with this disease is to have control over it. Because once you have control over it, it doesn't feel like you have shackles around your ankles. Now, in order to get control over it, it takes changing, it takes adapting, it takes accepting that there needs to be some sort of intervention, better say, some sort of better way to do it. With that being said, it's been a crazy journey, and I can't and right now I can't believe how much my life has changed throughout these 4 years of living with type 1 diabetes. How my life literally has been a roller coaster, and now it's literally been a roller coaster with sugar levels, no pun intended. But it's just been an amazing journey. How one person's story can make a huge impact. What do I mean by that is, I know through my story, and when I started posting my stuff on Instagram and my social media, I know that other people got inspired by the way I manage my type 1 diabetes. And that's what I'm trying to do now with my clients, have my client's story also impact other people. And I believe we only have each other as type 1 diabetics. If I'm not going to help my fellow type 1 diabetics, who else is going to help? And that's what I'm trying to build. I'm trying to build a movement where even though that this disease is complicated to manage, and it has its ups and downs, and it's really, it can be a really dark disease to deal with, I believe that you can still overcome it and thrive, but you have to have that spirit within you. And I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission with my coaching program to help 100 type 1 diabetics improve their A1Cs so they can avoid diabetic complications, master control over their sugar levels, and live a more confident life with type 1 diabetes with my coaching program. So I'm excited to kind of see that. Now imagine if we can just all come together and build a community just of like-minded type 1 diabetics. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make a movement that, even though that we have this difficulty with type 1 managing type 1 diabetes, we can still thrive with it. And I'm here. This is what I'm passionate about. And even though that I have type 1 diabetes, I feel like this disease changed my life for the better. And in one way, I'm grateful, because I'm not the same person I was before my diagnosis, and I'm not the same person I was during my diagnosis, and I'm still changing. But this disease opens my eyes to the reality of living. This disease opens my eyes to feel more gratitude towards life, because right now, if I don't have any insulin, and I'm grateful I do, I'm grateful that I have the control, the knowledge. If it wasn't for God and Him giving me the wisdom and just the confidence to go through this journey, I wouldn't be where I am today. But I feel like it's our moral obligation between each other to inspire each other. I know that your story can change other people's lives, just like my story may change your life, or my client's stories may touch and inspire your life. I know that your story can inspire somebody else, and that's the goal. It's to work through this together. So I hope my story with type 1 diabetes can inspire you that there is a better life, even though that we have to manage this disease. There is a better life, in the sense where you can live normal. I lived most of my life without type 1 diabetes, and I realized that my life is pretty normal now. It's normal to when I didn't have type 1 diabetes, but that comes with gaining more confidence over your sugar levels, gaining more confidence over the way you're managing your disease, and accepting the battle you have in front of you. You got to accept the battle. You got to accept this. You got to accept it so you can do what you need to do to start improving. You got to accept it to really be able to be above it. And listen, I'm not nothing special here. If I could do it, you could do it as well. If you want to join a community of other like-minded type 1 diabetics, and you want to improve the control you have over your sugar levels, feel more confident in the way you manage diabetes on a day-by-day basis, but you don't want to do this alone, you want to do it with other people, then I invite you exclusively to join my diabetes Facebook group. If you want to join, click the link below. It's going to take you to the group. Answer the questions, and I'll let you in if you're a good fit. And the key is, this group is very small, it's very controlled, and if you have any questions, you can post your questions there and I'll answer them. And you have a ton of my resources there, where I give a ton of free value, free content, encouraging stuff, motivating stuff. So I hope to see you in that Facebook group, and remember, you are not alone.